Hello everyone, my name is Alani.
I'm Jaya, and we are a biomedical project on fake cloning. This is Dolly the sheep, who's the first ever cloned mammal in 1996 by Biomedical.
So for our presentation today, we're going to have an opening statement. We're going to briefly describe human cloning. Then we're going to explain why human cloning might be seen as ethical, why it might not be seen as ethical, and then our position on cloning.
Human cloning is a much more delicate and difficult process than is shown on television. In real life, it's more like growing a human from another person's DNA. It is an incredibly controversial topic, with the people who are pro human cloning saying it's good for medical research and treatment, and people who are against human cloning saying that getting it getting into the wrong hands would be really bad and increase crime rate. Right now, it is far from reality. It is not aren't able to do it right now, but maybe in the future.
Okay, so human cloning is the creation of a genetically identical genome. The genome of a person can be cloned, but not an individual themselves. And like Jaya said, human cloning it works in a lab. So you wouldn't be able to completely clone a person like in the movies where it's the same exact person. It's more like having a twin where you are identical genetically, but you are two individual people. There are two different types of human cloning, therapeutic and reproductive. Both therapeutic and reproductive cloning go through the process, they use the process of static cell nuclear transfer, which is where here you have a donor egg and the genetic material of the person which you want to clone. You take out the DNA from the somatic cell person which you want to clone, and you put it into the donor egg. And from there, the egg starts to form and grow and turn into an embryo. And now here's where the difference between therapeutic and reproductive cloning comes in. In therapeutic cloning, you stop at this point here, the embryo, and you harvest the stem cells so that you can create such as organ transplants and help with damaged nerve cells, Alzheimer's, heart disease, diabetes, all sorts of different illnesses. With the reproductive cloning, that is as it states in the name, to create life. So you would allow the embryo to form and to create a child.
Reasons why people think that human cloning is ethical is really the research that people have done on human cloning has led to medical discoveries such as more discoveries on stem cells, human embryo development, and genetic manipulation. It is really good for transplants. Hypothetically, you could clone someone's liver if they're going through liver failure and then have an immediate perfect match, so that would increase their chances of survival and they wouldn't have to wait on the transplant list. Cells could be used to cure currently incurable disorders and diseases. They could work on the cells in the lab and clone them and try to help the diseases, and then they can transfer the cells into the people with the incurable diseases to help them. This could also be used for infertile couples to reproduce. They could just clone themselves and have a biological child instead of doing surrogacy or adopting. It can also be used to improve humans. If you are going to go the route of cloning someone to create a child, you could you could use the cells and put what you want. You can make them smarter, stronger, and change the human.
Human cloning can be seen as unethical because, specifically with therapeutic cloning, the people see it as unethical for similar reasons why they might see abortion as unethical, because they might believe that life starts at conception, and since you need an embryo to start the therapeutic process of taking out the stem cells, they might see that as unethical because of the way that they might see it as unethical because you have to create the embryo, which they might see as a living being, and then destroy it just for the purposes of human well-being. And then also, we have seen that people might think that therapeutic cloning can lead to the exploitation of women because of the need for the need of the cells to start the process in the first place. With reproductive cloning, people might see it as unethical because we currently do not have the technology to fully clone a human being because of the amount of chromosomes that we have and how complicated and intricate our DNA is. With something like the dog the sheep, it was much easier to clone her because of the differences in DNA between sheep and humans. And people it has come into, during my research, I saw that people might think that it would lead to human farms in a way, to where you're only cloning people and creating people for the purpose of harvesting organs, which would be problematic. And also, eugenics is a problem that came up because of the nature of cloning people specifically for certain traits that they have. And this is a map of places that might find cloning good and bad, yellow, as we can see here, with Australia, parts of Asia and Europe, and some states and parts of South America are pro-cloning. And then the blue areas, that's Canada, most of South America, and some of Africa, and some of Asia and Europe here are anti-cloning. They believe cloning is wrong. And then the gray areas don't have any conceivable data as of now. We believe that human cloning is unethical because the risk of it being misused is too great. If cloning were to become fully, if we were to have the technology to fully clone a human person, it would be too easy for people to do it for the wrong reasons and for it to lead to more crime, as Jaya said. And the pros of cloning, as the reproductive reasons for people to have kids if they're infertile, and for people to have kids if they're infertile and such would not outweigh the cons. I personally believe that therapeutic cloning would be okay to have the stem cells to help people who are terminally ill, but cloning as a whole could cause people to do horrible things. And that's all. Thank you. And these are my sources.